Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, hello and welcome everyone. I'm Louisa's mum, as you've just heard. And firstly, I'd like to thank you all for coming today to celebrate the marriage of Louisa and Andy. I know that some of you have travelled considerable distances. We've got family from France and Spain and Dublin, yeah? And also we've got friends from both ends of the country, from the south and the north. So it's the Northern Trickets are here. So thank you. It really does mean a lot to these two that you've travelled to be with them today. It's really important to them. And it's wonderful to see you all and meet some of you for the first time. I feel like I know some of you already, but it's lovely to meet you. Okay, so firstly, I'd just like to say that Louisa's dad should have been here with us today to see his daughter on her wedding day. But he passed away just a few weeks ago. He was always so proud of his little girl from the moment she was born. Don't look at me. And he would have been bursting with pride today to see this beautiful, smart, capable woman she's become so happy marrying her Andy. So for our first toast today, I'd like to propose a toast to Louisa's dad, to Jack. Please raise your glasses. To Jack. To Jack. To Jack. To Dad. To Dad. Dad. Oh, thank you from the end down there. So Louisa, okay, you know, she was the perfect baby. She used to sleep through the night, yes. She would eat, she would smile, she was a little ray of sunshine. And I used to think, I don't know why people complain about this baby business. It's a joy, she's no trouble. And I'd listen to other first-time mums and think, no, they're doing something wrong. Bit smug. Then, I had another one. And I knew what it was all about. Sorry, Adam, you know I love you.
Love him.
We love him. Oh. So yeah, Louisa was a happy, sociable child, always interested and always learning, excelling at school. She used to put on shows for our neighbours. So she'd rehearse with Adam. A lot of the material at that time came from the film The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Yeah, we had So Long Farewell quite often. They fancied themselves as the Von Trickett's family singers. Then later it was Spice Girl concerts. Adam was always Posh Spice.
It's not my wedding.
And she would rehearse him relentlessly for the moves and the pout. Can you still do the pout?
No,
all right.
just crack on with the
Crack on, all right. Later on it was Take That. And at one point, Prince William was her matrimonial target. He was on the bedroom wall. And I think she really thought she stood a chance. Close shave there, Andy. You nearly didn't get her. So celebrity crushes came and went, as they do. But one of the, I was going to say weirdest, but I think probably puzzling celebrity crushes was Ashley Peacock from Coronation Street. So nobody quite understood that one, but it was real. So yeah, and Louisa has always had the travel bug from an early age. And we enjoyed many family holidays with our close friends, the Hoys, who are here tonight. Woo! Hoys. So the four children grew up together, and they used to tell each other that they were cousins. I think they still do, actually. Yeah, they still say that. They still say our cousins. And we were chatting on a group, Alice and Louisa and I, the other week, little group chat, about a memorable holiday in Turkey that we had. Louisa was quite young, 12, 13, and one of the Turkish waiters took a bit of a shine to her. So wherever she went, he was smiling at her. We had eyes on him. So one day round the pool, we wrote a little poem, didn't we, to the Turkish waiter.
There was a limerick competition.
Would you like to hear it?
Yeah!
How much would you like to hear it? So it went like this. Alison.
Alison, do you know it?
Yeah. There was a young waiter from Turkey whose thoughts were decidedly murky. He asked her one night for some Turkish delight, but we couldn't translate furky. Sorry, you did ask. Oh, yay. So back to travel. So when Louisa went to Australia for 2 years, she went when she was 20, and I missed her terribly, but was very proud of her. She was spreading her wings and becoming very independent. Later on, when she came back, she did a volunteer project in near Nairobi, a village project, and she was working with children. Then later on, she went to India on another project. Was it a women's independence project? Yeah, and I think that's when she actually fell in love with India and its people. And she very generously took me to tour with her recently, and I absolutely get her passion for the country and the people and the culture. So thank you for that. So it's lovely that Harriet is Louisa's bridesmaid today. They've been joined at the hip since they became friends at 11 years old. Yay! And although the pair have presented me with some challenging parental situations in their teens, there was the unauthorised belly button piercing. I think Harriet was involved.
She wrote the note.
Yes, you forged the note to say she was 16, I think. But yeah, I've forgotten about that. I've wiped it. And there was the skipping classes in the sixth form. Louisa should have been in biology. I got the call. I don't know where Harriet should have been, but where they actually were was in a coffee shop in Ware. Did you know about this, Phil and Bev? We've forgotten about it now. It's not an issue.
Furious.
But I have to say that Harriet and her family have always been there for Louisa, always embraced her as one of theirs. And in a moment, I'm going to pass over to Harriet's dad, Phil, who's going to say a few words. So, Louisa and Andy, I'm so proud and happy for you both today. I can see how perfect you are for each other, how supportive and kind, and how much in love you are. I wish you both, from the bottom of my heart, much love and happiness for the future. And I'd like you all to raise your glasses once again to toast the loveliest of daughters and a new husband, Andy, the bride and groom, Louisa and Andy. There you go.
Trish, well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Phil's going to come over, I think.
Trish, thank you for those heartfelt words. And I'm sure that Jack would have been really proud of the mother of the bride's speech. In fact, it was a good shoe-in for a father of the bride's speech. So well done anyway. And I'm pretty sure that Jack would be really proud of that. So anyway, like me, you're probably wondering what I'm doing up here. Or indeed, who I am. But thanks to Tom, I'm Philip Massetti, and I happen to be the father of the bridesmaid. It's unusual, but the other night I was walking through Hertford, going to get a takeaway, and I happened to bump into the happy couple. And it was freezing cold as well, wasn't it? And I happened to say, I mean, what's my speech going to be called? And he said, I don't know. He said, why don't you call it the father and the bridesmaid? And I went, I like it. Inspirational. Thank you. The other thing I've got to say just before I really get into my speech is that Louisa was telling me that the designer, the architect of this room, was also the chap that designed the Titanic. I'm right, aren't I?
You're right.
Well, let's hope the speech doesn't go down to 20,000 feet. We were trying to think of a joke. I mean, she only just told me that. Did it work? Anyway, having delivered 2 father of the bride speeches back in 2016, which would be Harriet and would also be my other daughter Francesca, I thought they were a thing of the past, and hopefully my past would not catch up with me. Then a couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call out of the blue. Ring, 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 ring. Hello? Hello, Phil. It's Trish. Oh no, you haven't got an northern accent, have you? No, she hadn't called to say that after a chance meeting at the Watford Gap service station in March 1986, I had to cop up 20 years worth of child care support. And also now I was needed to make a father of the bride speech. No, and I want to stress, for the sake of everybody's dignity, that no such meeting took place at the Watford Gap service station.
Which one was it?
I would never betray a lady's dignity, sir. During our phone conversation, Trish told me that when she was pregnant with Louisa, she was convinced, well, she and Jack were convinced it was a boy. And that at the time, I don't know whether you remember, there's some young members in the audience here, but at the time, Dallas was on. Do you remember? J.R. Ewing. So, Trish had decided to call. They were convinced it was a boy, and they called him Little Jack. LJ, Little Jack. LJ, because J.R. Ewing, your drunken no good mother, Trish.
That's it,
Yeah, he had a son called Little J.R.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were that boy.
Yeah.
Well, how wrong can you be? So, they quickly morphed her name into Louisa Jane Trickett, or Little Jack, as we shall know her. For sure. Oh, and Trish also said she had a pointy head. Well, thank God. Not for the pointy head, by the way, but for the fact that Trish wasn't asking for any child support. Well, she was born on Sunday evening, 21st of December 1986, at Chase Farm Hospital. She weighed in at 7 stone... that was Adam. No, she weighed in at £7 and was the most beautiful thing that had ever been seen. And I took issue with this because by December 86, I'd had 2 beautiful daughters. I was married to my beautiful wife there, and also Trish was a pretty hot honey at the time. So we agreed, did we not? We agreed that you made it in the top 5. Oh. Well done.
That's good.
Yeah? You like that? Yeah? Okay.
Well done.
Talking about beauties, my mother fell down a wishing well the other day. I was amazed. I didn't know they worked. But, sorry. Duncan! No, anyway, I don't know if you know this, but I am Adam's boss. Okay? Remember that, I'm his boss.
Yes.
He and I work at Old MacDonald's farm. You've heard this one, haven't you? And I'm the CEIEIEEIO. The other week, anyway, I was walking through our place and I heard somebody trying to make a speech and trying to crack some jokes about his sister getting married. I opened the door slightly to peek in. It sounded awful. And to my surprise, Adam was there giving a speech, and he was in full flow delivering a speech to 2 of our cleaners. One looked very distressed, and the other one had fallen asleep. I was shocked. I had to intervene. Someone being subjected to a barrage of badly timed humour, unfunny jokes, that could damage their sense of humour for years, for life. What could I do? Well, some of you may say, just sit down. No, I had to act fast. One of the cleaners had already resigned. I had to suspend Adam there and then until after the wedding, and blurted out that I'd be taking over for him and I'd be doing the speech tonight.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
My pleasure. I'm doing it for you guys out there, okay? Anyway, here's one of his jokes, all right? Here's one of his jokes. What do you call two spiders that just got married? Ah!
Newlywed.
Right, get out. So, it falls to me, possibly, for the first father of the bridesmaid's speech, which is unusual, but an inspired suggestion by Andy, as I mentioned early on, that I'd like to include some pearls of wisdom about marriage that I can pass on to our newlyweds. Beverly, my beautiful wife over there, and I have been married for 42 years.
Yeah.
4 or 5 of those were very happy. And I remember our marriage guidance counsellor telling us that, remember this thing, getting married is easy, staying married is more difficult, but staying happily married for a lifetime must rank as one of the most enviable achievements there can be. Andy, you go for it this time, mate, okay? Hope it wasn't too close to the knuckle. Anyway, did I mention that I'd given 2 further of the bride's speeches back in 2016? Well, anyway, as you would have imagined, there are a number of tips that I gave Francesca and Seb, whatever her name is, and Jono. Oh yes, Harriet. And it must have worked because they're still together after all this time. And Jono and Seb are living together very happily, and the 2 sisters have moved back in together as well. But anyway, 2 pearls of wisdom for you. Andy, if at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way your wife told you. Okay? Louisa, husbands are the best people to tell a secret to. They'll never tell anyone because they weren't listening in the first place. So anyway, apart from the usual plaudits, Louisa and little Jack get for being intelligent, God-loving, gorgeous, a person with a beautiful heart. She has a great gift for people, making people laugh, and also subscribes to the motto that don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Never. So anyway, she went to school at the age of 5, being able to read, which is remarkable because neither Trish nor Jack could read at the time. At school, she enrolled on an A-level physics course, but up at that point, she'd never actually read a book. So imagine her parents' pride when she came home with an E grade. No, I'm only joking, she got a D. Louisa walked into our lives 25 years ago when she was 11 years old. Harriet brought Louisa home from Presdale School. Anybody know it? You went there, sir, didn't you? Or Prezi Leslie's as it was known. Do you remember? It was a grammar school. Anyway, Harriet brought her back to our house on the first day, saying her parents couldn't cope with her and had thrown her out, so could we feed her? Louisa, you somehow, God knows how, somehow made it through school with Harriet. I believe you got 5 GCSEs between the 2 of you. Although most of your latter years in education were spent down the pub, locking teachers out of classrooms or hiding behind the door in your economics class, whilst Harriet informed Mr. Rock you'd been taken severely unwell. Mr. Rock later wrote, and this is true by the way, Mr. Rock wrote, one of the most intelligent and funny students I have ever had the privilege to teach. You loved him, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did. Well, tonight, Mr. Rock. No, I'm only joking. Since that day, you've been Harriet's Bezzy and a part of our family, and you've fitted in from day one. And over the past 25 years, I know you've had to navigate some of life's little unexpected turns, but we've also had an awful lot of laughs along the way. You've always been a free spirit. You've always liked to consume a lot of spirit. You've been a people person and always the last to leave the party. And I think one thing is true to say that you're really good at making people feel great about themselves. So thank you, Louisa. By the way, this isn't all partisan, Andy. I will come round to you in a minute. But today, Louisa's a travel ambassador. She loves adventure, and she knows her way around some of the best places in the world. Africa, Sri Lanka, India, Australia, and the US, just to name but a few. And she certainly knows her stuff, because she's always telling me where to go. Boom, boom. Nearly finished. And on that note, I want to impart my second pearl of wisdom for a long and happily married life. I asked my darling wife, Beverly, of 42 years, what her view was on what was needed for a long and happy marriage. She said, I haven't got a clue, but there must be some people out there that are happy, aren't there? And I went, ha 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 ha. Oh, yes, I get it. So you've got to have a sense of humour, eh? And she said, yes, particularly in the bedroom. Well, I guess the best piece of advice I can give the two of you is that 90% of being married is just shouting, what? What do you want? From another bedroom. Another room, sorry. Andy, I haven't known you for as long as I've known Louisa. But I understand, and this is good news, I understand from your parole officer that you're making great progress, and the courts are soon to decide if you can remain on licence once and for all. So we all wish him really good luck on that one. Well, yeah, keep up, good work. What I do know is, though, that they seem to have fallen head over heels in love with one another. And maybe it has taken a little bit of a while to get together, but, as they say, you don't find love, love finds you, and I think it's really happened. And talking of finding people, and I know Trish, you alluded to it earlier on, about that strange love affair between you and that celebrity, Ashley Peacock. And I think another pearl is that you should always be honest on your wedding day and get everything out of the way. And of course this has happened. I know you were a little bit embarrassed about revealing before, Andy, that Ashley Peacock was, you had the hots for him for a long, long time. And those of you that are too young, Ashley Peacock was a D-class actor on Coronation Street. You may remember he worked for a fella called Fred Elliott.
D-class actor.
You're never going to believe this, but my darling wife and I, we were going on holiday. We went on holiday to Cape Verde to try and save our marriage. You can do it, you can. And there was a guy there, and he was nodding to us and so on, and I said, oh, no, that's nice and so on. Anyway, hey, what's going on there? Is there a fight? Have I lost the audience? All right, anyway. So we met this guy out there, and we nodded to him and so on. Anyway, we sat down, started talking to him. I spent the next 2 hours telling him about me. And then when I ran out of steam, I said to him, what do you do? And he said, I'm an actor. I said, you're what? He said, I'm an actor. I said, oh, anything that we know? He said, I've been on Coronation Street. I'm Ashley Peacock. Well, you could have knocked us, and that is a true story, you could have knocked me down with a feather. So we came back to the UK and we just went, hey, you liked Ashley Peacock, didn't you? We met him out in Cape Verde and she went, oh my God, and then passed out. Well, the one good thing is, anyway, you're not going to believe this, but I did manage to track him down. And he's still working with Fred Elliott. And we've got a little message for you, especially for you on your wedding day. And if I may just take a minute or so just to play this, okay? Could you just hold that? Thank you. Right, hang on. Here we go. Listen in, ladies and gentlemen.
I say, Ashley, don't be too bloody long on that phone call. We've got a lot of meat to ship, son. Hey, our little Jack. It's Ashley here from Corrie. Phil's told me all about the happy day and the excitement that you and Anthony getting married and all that. It must be really, really great. Now, we're sure to find. I know you're a massive fan, and just to let you know, it's a little secret. I'm in discussions with the producers of Corrie Street to see if I can have a part again in the programme. They say I could if I could create a situation whereby I can play Ashley again.
Sorry about this.
Through a window. So there is some hope, I would say, yeah. I say, Ashley, get that Jim Jack put the name. Go around the middle of this bit. Anyway, yeah, Jack, I've got to go. So give my best to all, and in particular, your blushing green, Adrian. Have a great day. Bye.
Can I, on behalf of my daughter Harriet and all the friends of Louisa, raise a glass and congratulate you on your wedding day? Louisa and Andy. Cheers, mate. Sorry, it went on a bit.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's clearly a tough couple of acts to follow. But what I thought I'd do was start with some introductions, because I quickly learned yesterday evening when we met some of the extended family in the bar in the hotel that there was some confusion over how I'm addressed typically. So often people will refer to me as Dom or Wilf. Andy will refer to as Andy, which is not actually his real name. Most of us will refer to him as Baz. But I thought on the back end of that, what I perhaps ought to do is to keep it properly formal, given the nature of the surroundings and such an auspicious occasion. So my full name, and should you have not had the pleasure of meeting me already, when you introduce yourself to me when we conclude, I'd be really grateful if you would introduce yourself to me and use my full name, which is Dominic Paul Wilford. Would you like a drink? And you can use that as often as you like. And then for completeness, we'll introduce Andy by his full name, which is Andrew Jeffrey Barrett. I won't have another drink, but Dominic Paul Wilford, would you like a drink? Would probably like a drink. So if we keep it nice and tidy, that will just make things. Clearly, it will give the respect to this particular occasion. I'll be asking questions a bit later on the sequence of those words. Now, I was fortunately chosen for this gig in very much in fourth place. 3 other people turned it down, were unavailable to attend, whatever the reason might be. And faced with that set of circumstances, we're old mates, by the way, you've probably gathered that. I thought to myself, well, what's the best way of approaching this? So, of course, I spoke to our groom and I said, right, what do you want me to do? And his exact words were, you've only got to do about 5 minutes, crack a couple of jokes, take the mickey out of me for a bit, job's a good one. Well, I was kind of struggling with that. Well, I thought there needs to be more to it than that, doesn't there? So with that in mind, a second phone call, and I said, look, I'm struggling a little bit here. I could do with some material. And he said, well, we've known each other a very, very long time. And with that, my minds whirring away. How long have we known each other? And I managed to work it out. We first met in the very, very early 1970s at Sunday school. You probably remember. And he tells the story somewhat less interestingly than I do. But at the time, he was running his first business project, which was a protection racket in a Sunday school. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, could you? So there we are, presented with each other. We became great friends from that point forward. So I thought to myself, if we know each other that well, and we've known each other for such a long period of time, there must be a sort of extended family, a sort of broader group of friends who might be able to help me out of this pickle. And he said, of course, give the blokes a ring. Well, the blokes are sort of at the back end of that table over there. And I thought to myself, well, how long have I known them? And with a very, very quick, rough and bloody bit of maths, I worked out that we have all known each other for 17,133 days. That's amazing, isn't it? Now, we can do the maths, but even if you do the maths, spread amongst that, it's over 100,000 days, several lifetimes that we've known each other. So I thought, brilliant, that's great advice. There will be a rich source of material sat at that table over there. So a series of texts, phone calls, absolutely nothing. The best they could do was a good luck, mate, you'll be fine, you'll think of something. There were a couple of references to drinking just a little too much. In fact, there were many references. And there was one reference to flatulence. And I thought to myself, fellas, you're better than this. We're beyond booze and farting. Those days are long gone. They're behind us. So with that in mind, let down by my friends, given the job in fourth place, clearly, I thought, well, I'll turn to my good lady wife who sat over there. And she thought about it, albeit very, very briefly. And she did what all brilliant wives do. She gave me permission for nothing. She just counselled me against the things that I couldn't do. Which it was along the lines of, whatever you do, keep the jokes in a place where you might get a smile out of the odd one or two people if they're still listening. And I said, can I tell the one about, and she knew which joke was about to come out of my lips. Well, I'll run it past you. Did any of you hear about the explosion in the French cheese factory? No. All that was left was debris. Fortunately, I was counselled against that particular joke. And she said, you've also got to give a wide berth that jokes involve harm to animals, because there'll be loads of people, of course, who will be animal lovers. And with that, I said, the one about it, she said, yes. Don't tell that particular joke, but I now feel duty-bound to share it with you. So has anybody come across the story of the truckload of tortoises which crashed into the lorry load of terrapins? It was a turtle disaster. Once again, she was right. So I'm struggling away with all of this. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how do I, thank you very much, how do I try and capture my friend of some 17,000 plus days in a nutshell? And it would be really easy, would it not, just to take the mickey out of him. So I decided to go against that. And I thought, this chap breaks down into four areas. There are four areas in which he excels. And the first one's obvious, really. He's a brilliant sportsman, and always has been. I would describe him as a bat and ball merchant. He can play absolutely anything. Oh, and he can pick up darts as well. He's good with all of those things. Brilliant. And as kids, we'd be 9, 10 years old. We played for a football club, and you probably don't remember this, but it was called West Bridgford Eagles. And it was brutal back in those days, in the dark days of the 1970s and the early 1980s, because the way that this particular club worked, it was a new club on the scene. And there were two divisions that the club had teams in both of those divisions. If you were really good, you played in one of those divisions, and if you weren't so good, you played in the other. And guess which division our groom played in? Well, of course, he was in the slightly better one. I, unfortunately, didn't quite make the cut, and I was with the also-rans in the other team. And I'd love to tell you this evening that he was magnanimous and supportive, but there was none of it. It was one of those, good luck, mate, keep training, any minute now they might give you a job. But a great sportsman. He's also been a highly successful entrepreneur over the years, and you'll all be well aware that Forward Bridge goes from strength to strength, and certainly by James's account a little bit earlier, and the rest of the team who are sat over there. Ford Bridge have done really well over the last few years, and I've no doubt that will continue. And I thought to myself, well, if he's an entrepreneur, what entrepreneurs tend to be good at is seeing an opportunity, making the most of it, delivering success out of the back end. I mean, really straightforward stuff. So with that, I thought to myself, there's probably something in the reason behind having a Christmas wedding, because most people don't do Christmas, do they? And I discovered latterly that after 6 times of proposing to Louisa, eventually she cracked. This is in the early part of this year. And as part of that process of cracking, she said, brilliant, I will marry you. You've tried so hard to convince me. Looking forward to a summer wedding 2024. Well, the entrepreneur sat next to me, saw his opportunity. He said, no, we'll do Christmas. And Louisa's thinking, no, it needs to be in the summer, doesn't it? Summer wedding, nice weather, all the stuff that goes with it. No, we've got to do Christmas, he said. Well, I've done a little bit of homework. There are a number of reasons why people choose Christmas weddings. And just as an aside, apparently Louisa said to him, whatever you do, if we have a Christmas wedding, we're not doing black tie, because you can't tie a tie. Well, obviously I rectified that for you a little bit earlier. And for those of you wondering how I tie another man's tie, I do have to reach around in order to deliver the product. And as you can see, it stood the test of time, as has Charlie's, by the way. So it transpires that the reason why people like Christmas weddings, there are dozens of reasons, but those that are the constants are the fact that, strangely enough, it tends to be cheaper. I mean, you can get a better gig if you take a Christmas wedding, so I'm led to believe. You're more likely to get people who are going to turn around and say, no, I'm not coming because I'm busy with the work party and all the other bits and bobs. And here's my favourite reason, I'm guessing this was behind your thinking. The reason people like a Christmas wedding is people are in a giving mood. You're just going to get more out of your audience if you do it at Christmas time. So we have a sportsman, we have an entrepreneur. Now, we also have a philosopher in our midst. And I was fortunate about, it's probably the early part of this year. We met Louisa for the first time in November of last year, of 2022. And Andy and I are having a conversation, probably December, January. So it's pre them announcing their engagement. And we were just chewing the fat like a couple of old blokes. And he said to me, he said, you know what, everyone deserves to be happy. And I agreed with him. And he said, everyone needs to be happy, meet the right person, fall in love, get close, all of those things, and ensure that you have lots and lots of really great summer holidays. And I thought that's sound advice from our philosopher, which is interesting in many ways because it reminds me of this story about the great Hugh Hefner, who doubtless you will have come across, so the architect of the Playboy Empire and the Playboy Mansion and all that goes with it. Now, Hugh Hefner famously had a lot of partners, but he was only married on 3 occasions. He was married in the 50s and 60s. He was then married for the second time in the 1980s, and his final marriage took place in 2012. He died in 2019. And in 2012, he was just about to marry his third and final wife, and they fell out. They actually fell out in the June, and they didn't get married, strangely enough, until the December of that year, clearly cut from the same cloth. And Hugh Hefner, whilst he remained, I'll choose my words carefully, enthusiastic in the bedroom, the fact that he was some 60 years older than his wife, he was 86 at this point in time, she was a mere 26 years of age, he was concerned that he may not be in a position where he could father another child. And with that, he went along to his doctor, and of course the American system, isn't it? So you pay and you get what you pay for. So he goes along to his doctor and he explained what I've just shared with you. And he said, well, Mr. Hefner, how can I help? And Hugh Hefner said, well, look, I'm enthusiastic in all the right departments, so you don't need to prescribe me anything, but what I really need to do is to have a test to ensure that if I do promise my newly appointed wife, then I'll be able to deliver on that front. And he said, fine, Mr. Hefner, here's what we'll do. And he gave him a bottle, and he said, right, you disappear with that. We'll make an appointment for 3 days' time, come back here, and then we can conduct a test to ensure that you're able to father children. And Hugh Hefner said, well, that's fantastic. Thanks very much, doctor. And with that, he departed. 3 days later, he comes back, and the bottle that the doctor had given him was empty. And the doc looks at Hugh Hefner, and he said, Mr. Hefner, I was expecting a sample. And Hugh Hefner looked at him and said, well, doctor, you're not going to believe this, But I tried with my right hand, nothing. I tried with my left hand, nothing. So I called my wife in. My wife tried with the right hand. She then tried with her left hand, and she's left-handed, by the way, so we thought we'd probably onto something. Nothing. Now, very kindly, he said, my wife then tried with her mouth. Firstly with her teeth in, then with her teeth out. Absolutely nothing. He looked at the doctor and said, if only we could have got the lid off the bottle, it would have been very different. So, you'll be pleased to know, draw things to a close. I maintain that really great people attract other great people, and I'm sure you've had a similar experience to me. You meet someone and you think, what's their other half like? And you probably come to conclusions that, strangely enough, great people attract great people. Well, I absolutely see the embodiment of that sat next to me this evening. It proves the point, doesn't it? Because you richly deserve each other, and I wish you every happiness. And I would, as we've stepped away from a number of sort of typical formalities with any wedding, December or otherwise, I'd just like to draw things to a close and do something which is probably a little bit of unorthodox. And I would like you, please, to raise your glasses to the mother of the bride. Trish, where are you hiding? Trish, everybody. My pleasure, not at all. No worries. You probably don't want to do.
Very popular. At the moment. I am envious of you, buddy. Any guesses why? Was I the only one that's got the memo saying 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the only one that read it, hopefully. Anyone still here? You know the graveyard shift at the comedy club after all the talent's gone. That's me now. I'm James, and I'm Andy's business partner and friend, or friend and business partner. Let's get it the right way around. And I have to say, it's a great honour. Great honour. I've always dreamt of being the reserve fifth man at a wedding. I was third when I wrote that, by the way. Thanks to Dom. When Andy asked me if I'd speak, I said yes straight away. And he said, great, you're on in 10 minutes. Again, I wrote that some time ago. I've got to start, actually, with a small confession. It started when you moved in together, actually. And pretty much every day since. But I've been seeing Louisa behind your back. I'm not the only one, because whole office has as well. Yeah, it's our Zoom calls before you get any funny ideas. And to be fair, there is a lot of room between Andy and the top of a screen. Even if he stood up. Oh, sorry, what? You were standing up. Now, I met Andy 25, 26, 27 years ago. I remember it well. And we got on straight away. One reason, because we share a similar sense of humour, which is why he's the only one laughing at that last gag, or more likely shaking his head. We both have a connection with Nottingham. Come on, there are some people from Nottingham, surely. It's the sheriff himself. We both love golf, which we'll hear about in a little bit. We both supported sleeping giants of football clubs. Mine got woken up when a large bag of cash fell on our head. Andy's, it's woken up a couple of times in the night, but it's still largely asleep. We also worked for a company that allowed us the opportunity to live, work and travel a lot around the world. And it's through that work that we've made a lot of good friends. And some of Andy's great friends are here tonight. There's one very noisy one. And unfortunately some who understandably couldn't be here tonight. But I actually have a message from one of those. Well, oh no, he offered to do a video call, and I told him not to. Despite the fact that you are such great friends, he just felt that the time, distance, and money involved in getting here tonight was just a little bit too much, even for you. So this one's from Gavin in Clapham. Hey, g'day mate. Sorry I can't be there. Me and the girls want to congratulate you and Louisa. I'll have a beer on you tonight and look forward to seeing you soon. Love, Gav. AKA Jim Daly, AKA George. That's a private joke. And Gav was on our first golf tours, which some of you may know, and Louisa is going to come to know, that we do religiously every year. We've been doing it since 2005. And it's fair to say that we all look forward to it, but no one is more excited than Andy. He'll be the first at the airport, he'll be the first in the bar, he'll be first down for breakfast the next morning, and he'll be first on the tee. He loves it. And over the years, we've had a lot of fun. And I can't tell you all the stories about Andy from these trips. No, really, I can't tell you. He told me not to. But I did get some memories from some of the guys. And funny enough, we all have very similar memories. And it's actually of Andy kissing things. Yeah. If it's not his other great love of his life, bottles of red wine, it might be his Leeds badge, or occasionally a bicep, if he's managed to hit the fairway. Yeah, he does it. And on the rare occasion when he might make some birdies, we've even seen him kissing some balls. Oi, stop it. Golf balls, obviously. So, Louisa, I think you've already experienced this one trip this year. You'll need to get used to this every single year. About 2 weeks before we go, he'll have all the restaurants booked, he'll have his clothes neatly laid out, ready to pack, he'll have bought some new gear, and he'll be at the driving range every night. And on the morning that we go, you'll wave him goodbye, he'll be full of excitement, confidence that he's going to win the trophy. 3 days later, he'll be back, he's lost every match, and you'll be consoling him for a year. Now, that's a bit harsh, because Andy's actually worked really hard on his golf game over the years. He's taken a lot of lessons, he's bought all the new equipment, new tech, and recently he's been playing about 50 times a year as well. Yeah, it's paid off, to be fair, it's paid off. When we started out in 2005, his handicap was 20, it's now 19.8. Well done. Now, as much as I'd love to spend the night making fun of him, I am going to stick to my 5 minutes, so I'll wrap up now. And I do need to say some nice things, and that's not hard to do either. Because as a lot of you do know, and some of you are about to find out, he's a great guy, he's a great friend, and for the last few years he's also been my business partner. We sat down in March 2020, just a few days before Boris banned everyone from going out. And we started an events company. Crazy, right? But since then, and with the considerable help of some of our team members, the noisy ones over there, noisy one of them anyway, we've managed to build a successful and I think happy business as well. And that's largely down to Andy, because he brings to business what he brings to friendship, all his great characteristics. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's funny most of the time. He's determined, and he's always totally positive, and that's really been a massive difference in our success. And so this is not only an opportunity for me to say congratulations to Andy, congratulations to Louisa, but it's also an opportunity for me to say thank you, thanks mate, and all the best. To Andy.
5 minutes. Yeah, hold on. Hello everyone. I will rattle through some quick thank yous because we want to get into the better parts, but I'll start with thanking everyone. I'll thank Trish, for being my new mother-in-law. Thank you, Trish. And for being a great mum to Louisa. And you did tell me recently you did do your best trying to bring her up. You can't do any more than that. So thank you to Trish. I would say thanks to Adam for being my brother-in-law. And you don't need to let me beat you at pool anymore. You don't need to let me beat you at pool. You don't need to, honestly.
I'll stop letting you.
Yes. Also, so thank you to all of Louisa's family and friends. You're all amazing. Thank you to my dad. You're back in your chair. Thank you, Dad, for raising a great son. Thank you to my wicked stepmother here, Judith. She's the opposite of wicked, by the way. Thank you to Auntie Margaret for coming. Lovely to see you here. Thank you to Brother Johnny, to Donna, Sister Liz, Bertie, Sophia. I do know all your names. Alex, yes, Alex. Charlie, what a good boy. What a good boy. What a haircut. Who likes Charlie's haircut? Yeah. Thank you to Uncle Richard and Kate. Great to see you all here. So, Trish and others have mentioned Jack, and yes, your dad would have been very proud today to see his beautiful daughter getting married. There are sadly other people here as well, sadly other people not here today that we would have liked to have been here. I would mention our mum, Margaret, our brother Michael, Margaret's husband Norman, my uncle Norman, Donna, your father, my Uncle Don, and your brother, goodness me, Jared, and our old mate Dominic, who's would have been great to have them here today. So another quick toast, please, to absent friends and family. I'll do one more quick thank you, and it's to Fergus and all the chaps that came on my stag weekend. So I think there are a few topics that people that know me will agree I am capable of being very boring about. Topics that no one is in any doubt about what I think. And I actually thought my dislike of rugby was one of those topics. So I was pretty surprised when I turned up for my stag weekend and we spent the afternoon watching live rugby and the evening watching rugby on TV. But nevertheless, I had a good time. But I still dislike rugby. It was a very excellent weekend. I would thank Nige as well for taking me to his golf course and letting me and Ferg win. Thank you. You didn't need to do that. And but I would say Ferg finally is it was really great. But 2 hens. She had 2 hens. I only had 1 stag, but it was still really good. I should also thank Louisa for. I will thank Louisa for, agreeing to marry me, and I would think everyone here would agree that I'm a lucky man. Yes. I was actually told this. I've been told this a few times, but I was told this on one of our first outings. I was a late addition to the invitation list for Chris and Colette's wedding. Colette, who did the reading today. And I just finished dinner, and I was sitting opposite Ben over there, who just finished his 3rd or 4th dinner. It is true. And there was a gentleman who I knew to be Chris's father, because he was sitting at the front with Chris. I'd never met him before, and he marched across the room in my direction, and he came right up to me, and he said, "Who's a lucky boy then?" It was a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, thank you, I agree. And then he said, don't fuck it up. Which was really sound advice, very sound advice. And, but it was terrifying as well. Anyway, we are here. Hopefully, Chris, your dad's happy. So I worked in the same company. I joined a company in 2013 and Louisa was already working there. So 2013 was the year after Louisa collaborated with Danny Boyle in organising the 2012 Olympics. You did it together. She's the lesser-named junior partner in that collaboration. It was, I think, the year before you climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. So she climbed Mount Everest in 2014, and I'm really surprised by this because we go on a morning walk and we go to the local park, and we have to go the way round the park that has the least steep slope. It's true. And yet she's climbed Mount Everest. But anyway, it's 2013. And Louisa was a salesperson selling sponsorship and conference sponsorship and exhibition spaces to men in Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota. And she was very good at it. And if you walk past her desk, you'd think she was just talking in euphemisms. She'd be talking enthusiastically about fracking and horizontal drilling and pumping sucker rods. Yeah, oil and gas. You loved it. And the problems of high-pressure gas in the annulus. So she was very good at it, and she regularly won the Salesman of the Month award. She did. And I know what you're thinking. It's outdated language, Salesman of the Month. And it was. Luckily, Lucy the lesbian in the office pointed this out to me. She wasn't happy with this award. And I agreed with her, and I said, I'm really sorry, Lucy, but I will change the name of the award. And so shortly after that, the next month, Louisa started winning the non-gender specific Sales Operative of the Month award. Right? It's true. Or the NGSSOOTM for short. And Lucy still wasn't happy. No pleasing some people. So you'd think with this good performance that Louisa would have got special treatment. And you did. And I can't believe this happened. I hope you've forgiven me.
Are you talking about a Greco?
Well, yes. So there were three things I did that were really bad. I reduced her commissions. I reduced her commission rate. I allowed her arch enemy in the sales team to steal her biggest account while Louisa was away at an event. Shaking your head, Harriet, I'm sorry. It's true. And the other thing I did was I explained to Louisa that her success was due to her working on all the easy events. I did say that. It was to keep your feet on the ground. Yeah, you didn't want to get carried away. It's a management strategy. Anyway, this was all true, and I'm truly sorry.
All three of those things.
Yeah, all of them. There was one good thing I did, I think. And so Louisa worked on American hours. She was working till 8 or 9 p.m. at night. And there was one day she came to me and said, could I leave early? And I think she'd gone and spoken to Jan, who's over there somewhere. There she is. Jan was office manager. And she had a strategy conversation. Should she say she's feeling sick? Should she come up with another excuse? Or should she tell the truth? And she decided to tell the truth. So she came to me and said, it's the last day of the month, Andy. I've hit my targets. I've got loads of sales lined up for the rest of the week. But I'd like to leave early. And my best friend has just got engaged. And she's drinking champagne at the top of the Shard, and they want me to join them. So I said, are these people important to you? And she said, very. And I said, well, off you go. So Louisa went and she joined Harriet and Jono, and probably Phil and Bev, and maybe Cheska, I'm not sure, for champagne at the top. No? Anyway, you're welcome. So, thank you. All right, moving on, 2021, and I found myself living in the County of Opportunity. Does anyone know where that is? Hertfordshire. All right, let's hear it for Hertfordshire. Let's hear it for Lancashire. Hey, let's hear it for Yorkshire. Yes. Let's hear it for Notts. Hey. All right. Let's hear it for Spain. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Anyway, I was in the County of Opportunity. I'd never heard of that before. I'd heard of Hertfordshire, but not its name. And I was specifically in a place called Bishop's Stortford. Hey! Or Bishops, as the locals called it. Anyway, my landlord in Bishops is here today, and it's Stan the Ringman. Stan the Ringman. Yes. And Stan was an incredible landlord. Incredibly grumpy. Incredibly messy. Incredibly argumentative. And an incredibly bad cook. But we had some good times. We did have some good times. I had to make his dinner every day at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, middle of my work day, and if I didn't make his dinner on time, incredibly grumpy. But thank you, Stan. Anyway, Bishops was about half an hour away from somewhere called Hoddesdon. Hoddesdon. I'd never heard of Hoddesdon. Let's hear it for Hoddesdon. Yes, lots of Hoddesdon people here. Oh yeah. So it felt like it was time for some wooing. And I didn't really know how to woo somebody, but I took a wild stab in the dark. Expensive restaurants, fancy hotels, seemed to work. Yeah. Yes. And I hadn't really come across the word wooing for a while either, but there was, I think, a text from Trish, which your daughter showed me, and it said something like, "He sure knows how to woo a lady." Yeah, which was very nice. So it feels like when I moved to, started spending time in Hoddesdon, there was a lot of love in Hoddesdon for Louisa. There is a lot of love in Hoddesdon for Louisa, and not just in Hoddesdon either. I found out, but a bit far beyond as well. But if I was to say to Louisa, you're a 3 out of 10, or a 4 out of 10, I hope you'd take that huge compliment that it's meant to be. You're not even a 3 or 4, actually. You're a 1 or 2 out of 10. I'm talking about the well-respected, highly scientific, crazy hot matrix. Oh, thank goodness. If you're not familiar with it, I think my friend Chris over there, not that Chris, the other Chris, he can show you the science. He can show you the science. So, you're absolutely gorgeous, not at all crazy. I really love you. I love you always and always. And that's quite the public pronouncement, which I'm not used to doing. So, I will also let you know, you are quite normal in some ways as well. She can't load a dishwasher. She can't. She doesn't like football. And her wardrobes are bursting with clothes, but she's never got anything to wear. So pretty normal.
Yeah.
All right. I think Hugh Hefner was mentioned earlier. Yes. I don't know if that was an age gap reference or not, but it's been mentioned by other people. There is an age gap. I'm okay with it. I'm over it. I've come to terms with it. I've made peace. All right? It's not something I'm worried about. Yeah? And I also want Louisa to know, in front of everyone here, I don't think you're too old for me. I don't. No. All right, almost finished, because it's been a long one. It's my duty, I think, to thank the bridesmaid. You, Harriet, yes. So, thank you for your bridesmaiding. Is that a verb, bridesmaiding? It is now. Great bridesmaiding today. And lots of pre-wedding support, two hens, and lots of WhatsApp chats, hundreds and thousands of WhatsApp chats about the wedding. And here it is, right now. So I would thank you as well. On one of the hens, there were lots of different drinks and had different names. And they were all drinking, and I think they kept ordering a cocktail that was called the Andy. And I've got what this meant. So the Andy was actually, the description of the Andy was the ultimate. Has an air of class and exclusivity. So thank you, Harriet. It's very nice. I won't read all the other ones out, but that was my favourite one, the ultimate. So we'll finish with a toast to Two Hens Harriet. To Two Hens Harriet. And that is the end of the speeches. Yay!